Now, the trailer for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was in fact leaked online prior to the desired release date that is believed to be with Mad Max Fury Road in the upcoming weeks, and I actually managed to get a chance to look at it, and I do have to say that I'm not 100% satisfied by the trailer. Now, before I begin giving a description of what happens and my analysis of certain moments, the thing is that I wasn't a huge fan of Man of Steel myself. I did have a lot of problems with it. Nonetheless, I was still looking forward to this simply because of the introduction of Batman, Ben Affleck, a lot of interesting casting choices definitely, and the fact that, you know, it was going to be the beginning, or at least pushing forward, this DC cinematic universe, and I'm a fan of comic book movies in general. So, in this trailer, however, there are a lot of things that I do have issue with, and let me begin by saying that it's not like the trailer doesn't have its great moments. In fact, the opening 30 seconds of the trailer are pretty damn good. What happens is it's a zoom in onto what is believed to be Metropolis, or it could be Gotham City, we're not sure. It's this large urban area, the city basically, at night. The silhouettes of various different buildings are visible against the night sky, and it's really interestingly shot, as most of Zack Snyder's stuff is. I believe, though, a lot of what he shoots feels more like it looks good as an image, a singular image, but when in motion, I don't necessarily find the appeal in it as a lot of other people do. So as this zoom in goes across to this giant statue, or at least a silhouette of a statue, we get to see a lot of flashes towards Superman being treated as a god, something that is actually very interesting, and in fact what I believe is the appropriate next step for the character. You in fact have what could be a SWAT team or a lot of different cops and whatnot, in fact, on their knees at one moment as he walks through, and it's really beautiful to see the public after him, and Superman having to deal with this and come to grips with that could really add something amazing to the story and be a really interesting look at it. However, then, as the zoom continues onto the statue, you do hear words like tragedy and whatnot from news clippings, basically, and extracts from the news. And then finally, the moment where the trailer got kind of weird is when we find out what it's zooming onto. It's zooming onto a statue of Superman, sure, but as the thunder strikes, it says, or at least it's been spray painted on his chest to say in bright red, "False God." Now, I understand the meaning behind that, and I think that there's a huge dialectic that could be brought about in the film by having these two factions, those pro-Superman, those against Superman, that could cause a lot of events to actually occur in the film. However, just the look of that alone against the thunder gave me this look of one of the Batman Arkham games, and I felt like visually it was really draining out. And then, on top of that, the next bit we get to see is, in fact, of Ben Affleck just staring with this menacing look at his own suit, something that is intriguing and something that actually looked really good, while Alfred, that is Jeremy Irons, has a minor voiceover saying that when you give someone else power, or when someone feels powerless, they tend to turn cruel, which could be an interesting part of Batman's character, but I don't want that to be his primary motivation, considering that they've only mentioned the fact that he feels powerless and therefore he's gonna fight out Superman. I mean, granted, it's a teaser trailer, they don't have to show everything, but I feel like they would have to set up the plot a bit better. So my issue is more with the trailer in that sense, that they actually didn't, you know, get more into why Batman's doing what he's doing, and they made it feel like it's almost a bit of an insecurity that's really driving him to do what he's doing, which I do not believe is the case, and I do not believe should be the case. You do have a minor montage then. You get to see some things of course, you know, Superman displaying strength. He does lift a giant truck earlier on. You do get to see the rear end of the Batmobile as it drives in the distance, which actually looked really good. Probably my favorite shot in the trailer, no doubt. But then the final shot of the trailer, I don't know how to feel about this just as yet. Of course, it's similar to the earlier Comic-Con teaser trailer that we saw, wherein you have Superman in the sky, Batman on the ground looking up at him, eyes glowing. His suit, however, appears really different. It appears to have this strange metallic aspect about it, almost as if he's wearing a suit of some kind of heavy metal, and that's how it feels mostly around his jaw. I don't know how I feel about the look of the suit, but it's his voice that I think most people are going to be talking about that sounds ever so robotic. I don't even feel like Ben Affleck got the chance to do his own Batman voice as a Christian Bale or a Michael Keaton or Val Kilmer or even George Clooney got to do. I feel like there's some sort of artificial sound that's been created to make his voice sound so robotic, ever so robotic, that it's almost hard to understand for a moment. I feel like it's going to get a lot of backlash, much like the Bane voice did. But he asks Superman, "Do you bleed?" And then he says, "You will." I do like that idea. I do feel like that scene on its own is great within the context of the trailer. Maybe not so much. The only thing I really want to say is just that I was really looking forward to this trailer because of the fact that I myself was not sold on the film. I'm going to watch it, no doubt. Opening day. It's a Batman film. But the fact is, Man of Steel and Zack Snyder creating that universe didn't really work for me. And with his continuance in the franchise, a lot of the stuff he did visually again in the trailer didn't necessarily speak out to me. I'm not a big fan of. There's a lot of that artificiality aspect, making it feel like one of the Arkham games this time, less so than just more visually artificial. It feels like a video game in terms of a lot of shots, something I'm not a big fan of. And despite my apprehensions, I was still saying I'm going to wait for the trailer to happen. I'm going to wait to watch it. And now after having seen it, I'm just not that hyped for a Batman and Superman film as I believe I should be. It's bringing two of the biggest superheroes together, and unfortunately I don't think this trailer did it for me. I'm of course excited to see the hype that a lot of other fans display, but given this point in time, I myself cannot say that I'm all that excited for its release at the end of March 2016.